Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Chag Sameach. Hope you're doing well today. Throughout this holy season, I have had many moments of flashing back to past years. And I'm sure many of you have as well, these bittersweet moments. Tonight is Simhat Torah, so I'm holding a particular scene in my heart. We would be getting ready for a night of hours of singing and dancing. All of you would start to spread around the gym, grabbing white gloves and talitot, and then holding our breath a little bit. A nerve-wracking, slightly terrifying experience. We would begin to unroll the Torah. We would take as much care as we possibly could. We would see the kids running around, trying to wrangle them, reaching out, and parents pulling them back. But really a magical and a powerful experience. Why do we do that? It's not really traditional. It's our new tradition. But when we unroll the Torah together, it's a powerful and visual reminder that it belongs to all of us. That you do not need me or another rabbi or a teacher to grant you access or permission. And this new tradition represents to me that the Torah belongs to every single one of us equally. Sure, I may know a little bit more biblical Hebrew than you, but there it is, right in your hands, or on your bookshelf, or in your web browser. And if you've ever studied with me in a house party or elsewhere, you know what I usually say when those text sheets go around. Now it's yours just as much as it is mine. The Torah itself takes this idea so seriously that in Devarim, Deuteronomy, we read of the mitzvah of Hakel. At the end of the Shemitah year, the sabbatical year, every 7 years, on the holiday of Sukkot, the Torah was to be read in full. Hakel, gather everybody together. Torah says, you shall read this Torah aloud in the presence of all Israel. Gather the people, the men, the women, the children, and the strangers in your communities, everyone, that they may hear and so learn to revere Adonai your God, to observe faithfully every word of this Torah. This practice ensured that nobody could stand between the people and our foundational text, our rules, our guidance, our history. You shouldn't have someone standing between you and Torah. This practice of public Torah reading was deemed so important that it continued to evolve from once every 7 years to readings on holidays and Shabbat, and on Mondays and Thursdays, market days, what we do today. I'm thinking a lot about this right now because I find myself frustrated and distressed by our country, as I know a lot of you are as well. In contrast to the transparency of Hakel, or our unrolling of the Torah, this public Torah reading, it's hard to know from an American public perspective what is true and what is not. How much information is being filtered, distorted, misrepresented, or hidden entirely. Watching the debates lately, I wanted a real-time fact check to be scrolling across the bottom of the screen, and was also furious that I felt like we need one. If we just look at how COVID is and isn't being talked about, do our doctors, do our scientists, our elected officials, do we have the information that we need, the basic information to make the best decisions? How many cases are there in our country? How many deaths? What's the infection rate in our schools as they're opening or reopening? Can we commit? Can't we commit to the testing, the contact tracing, the honest and transparent reporting that would help us get this deadly pandemic under control? What would it be like if we not only had access to these facts, but if everyone in our country agreed that they were indeed facts? We may still choose to interpret them differently and make decisions differently, but the fundamentals would still be there. As we celebrate Simchat Torah tonight, I'm thinking a lot about that unrolling of our Torah. Sure, the interpretation of our Torah varies so widely from one community to the next. But whether you're Reform, Conservative, Reconstructionist, Renewal, Orthodox, Haredi, Agnostic, Secular, any of it, you name it, no label at all, we all agree that there is one Torah text. The scroll is the scroll. That is not up for discussion. Perhaps that is one thing we can rejoice in tonight, the knowledge that it is possible for people who disagree on so much as is true across the Jewish spectrum, to agree on something from which everything else follows. And if the Jewish people can do it, maybe our country can too. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach.